have with us serving Chatham and Randolph counties. We have the North Carolina Representative Robert Reives with us on today. Yes.
That's what I'm talking about.
Hey, look, you said, who was that?
I know that's right.
Serving the best county, one of the best counties.
There you go.
We'll have to add Randolph in there since that's one of your other
Yeah, we
counties.
gotta add that
but
in there.
Chatham County, one of the best counties.
Okay.
We're excited to have you here today. We want to talk about and just have a real candid conversation about the North Carolina Senate voting to ban anyone wearing masks in public. We have a lot of questions about that.
I would imagine you do.
And I'll start with mine because mine is, I can bring that home very sensitive because my mom is battling cancer again.
Absolutely.
And so when she's taking chemo, as many people have, autoimmune disease and other diseases and illnesses that make them, need to wear this mask. And now she's not going to be able to do that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, she can do it, but she'll be charged with a misdemeanor.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if she wears a hood, she may be able to get away with it. But that's
Wow.
another story.
Oh, my God. Okay, that was my
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Speak on that.
You gotta speak on that.
Speak on that. So here's for me, just for me, just thinking outside of the box. I get them trying to say, people that do unsavory things get away, but I just don't feel, in my spirit, just in my heart, in my spirit, I don't feel like that's what it's really about overarching. I think it's still an attack on people not subscribing to COVID and all the things that went along with it, everything what it was about. And to come out and just say just a broad ban that you cannot wear a mask. As many people I see go into the Veterans Hospital, VA Hospital, all these places, you can't wear a mask in public. Now I can't put a mask on you. No, now I can't even wear my own mask because you're afraid somehow that I'm gonna break the law and you can't recognize me.
Yeah, and I can see, and the one thing I never try to do is first thank you guys for having me on.
Thank you for joining
I
me.
appreciate that. And the one thing I try not to do is try to go inside somebody's mind and figure out what the motivation is. So what I've got to do is I got to look at whatever external evidence I have as to what your motivation is.
Right.
And so,
okay.
Again, you look at all of the trend throughout because none of this stuff happens in isolation. Now, North Carolina will be the very first and only state to ban health masks.
Which is, when you say that, it blows my mind.
Yeah.
That makes no sense to me.
But we won't be the last because, again, what happens is, you watch this, you look at Florida, Texas, all the stuff always happens in a pattern. So at the same time we're doing this, you got New Hampshire trying to fight about people getting polio vaccines. I mean, it's stuff that we thought we saw 50 years ago.
Right.
That's it. And so I have to say that based on all of the rhetoric, you have to think that there is a factor there where people are saying, this is a way to stop us from ever having to shut down or having to wear a mask again during COVID. And the thing is, I'm just like you. I mean, I'm like Pam. My mother's passed now. But when she was battling her cancer, when she was going through that, because here's the thing you don't think about. Not only does that person need to wear a mask, but the people around them do.
Right.
So for everybody, whether they got family members, kids, spouses, whatever it is, you're talking about 2 or 3 more people around them that need to wear masks. So you're talking about in North Carolina, with the estimates that we have, you're talking about 700,000 people who are immunocompromised. So then you take that, multiply it by 3, just a low number.
Yeah.
Then you're talking about 2.1 million people who need to be wearing masks that now can't wear a mask.
Wow.
And this has got nothing to do with the law. And the thing that you don't get to hear about on the news, there are all kinds of opportunities. Like you had amendments that were put forth saying, hey, let's compromise, let's do this. This was talked about in committee. So it's one of those things where they got it on the floor and said, oh, God, I didn't realize we did this.
Right.
They talked about in committee these things. Democrats offered amendments to say, hey, you guys can't seriously mean to do this. And they're like, yes, we do mean to do this. And so, and again, but, if you could wear a hood, you might be able to keep yourself safe. But unfortunately, most of the organizations I know that wear hoods might not allow my membership, unless I was Dave Chappelle.
Oh, that's an interesting segue.
Just don't do it on Zoom.
We have the privilege of talking to the House Democrat leader, of course, Robert Reives, and very proud member of Cap Alpha Psi too as well. I want
there
to
you go, brother.
My frat brother. But
I should have.
Here we go.
But first, I was just along when I read this and trying to get the motivation behind it and giving people misdemeanors to protect themselves.
Yes.
With a mask. This blows my mind. Why does North Carolina we always doing stupid stuff, man? I mean, in my opinion, that makes no sense, has no rationale behind other than it's got to be political, obviously. And I'm always curious to know why the origin of these things and how they happen.
Well, it's politics. Now I can tell you, and that, having experienced that, Pam knows that with Chatham County, they've changed my district. I've been in for 10 years, which means 5 cycles, and so under our law, my district should change once in those 10 years.
Wow.
My district has changed 4 times in those 10 years.
Wow.
And I went from having Chatham and Lee County, went to Chatham and Durham. And then suddenly I went from Durham to Chatham and Randolph is, and Randolph's a wonderful county. I actually really enjoy Randolph, but it's the most Republican county in the entire state.
Wow.
And so, they would tell you that's a coincidence. I would tell you that, but with that being said, the reason I bring that up is I got a chance to experience last year how this stuff sets up. And so what happens is we pass these bills. And the intent is generally just, and in fact, I'll just be straight. I know factually, at least somebody on their campaign side wanted this bill passed as it's passed so they can run some flyers to send some misinformation out about, what Democrats stand for and things of that sort.
Gotcha, yeah.
And they don't think about what the practical effect is on people. I mean, it's the same as Medicaid expansion. Medicaid expansion, we were told when I got in 2014 that 2,300 people minimum. 2,300 people were dying every year that we didn't expand Medicaid. And you know what we did? We didn't expand Medicaid. We didn't expand Medicaid because it was tied to a former president, and we didn't want to pass anything. We didn't want to take $1 billion a year because we didn't want to acknowledge anything that had to do with a former president.
Wow.
So we're letting people die. And the same thing here. And so that's what I mean about you got to take it in a general context. You can't take this as a one-off. You've got to look and see, okay, what's been a pattern? And so I promise you that you're going to see, maybe you can go ahead and write this down, save this show. You're going to see a mailer about this bill, sending some misinformation about some Democratic candidate in the summer, and nobody's going to say anything in the counter and say, you're killing people. Literally by telling them that they can't wear a mask for health problems.
Wow.
Absolutely. We are talking to North Carolina House of Representative Robert Reives. Is there any opportunity to amend this bill? Well,
it's interesting. Specifically, this bill can't be amended because it's what they call a conference report. And so what happens is you take a bill that's about something else. This bill actually was originally about money laundering. And so they, we did an abortion bill on motorcycle safety, so trust me, we'll do it on any bill. So instead of attacking money laundering, which is an actual problem, we decided we wanted to attack people having health problems. So when you gut and amend a bill like that, then what happens is it has to be sent back because it got voted out of the House on what they call a conference report, which means we can't amend it. Now, what they can do is just get rid of the bill. We've always got the option not to take the bill up, write another bill, and all that kind of stuff. Right. I've got no indication that's going to happen. And again, if you do that, it makes it harder to use it in an election, which is not why we should be writing bills. But again, it is amazing how many bills we pass just to get somebody fired up in an election, make them want to go vote, and to get people to have misinformation about folks that you're running against. And that I feel strongly that that's the purpose of this bill. Because otherwise, everything else that you're concerned about is against the law. Yeah. I mean, it just is.
I just want to remind people what we're talking about. The North Carolina Senate voted along party lines Wednesday to ban anyone from wearing a mask in public for health reasons.
Yes.
So let that lay on your ears right there for a second.
And of course, with health disparities that we have in our community, it affects us worse. So out of those 700,000 people, you got to think a disproportionate number of those people are going to be African Americans because we already have problems with access to health care. We have problems, that are endemic to us health wise. And so, and I mean, it was funny. I had to go. I told you guys I was going to speak in Halifax County last night. So I went to speak in Halifax County last night. And in that crowd, there were 4 people with masks on.
Wow.
And so I was just like, if we let police in there, I mean, then all of a sudden they can get arrested.
Yeah.
And of course, that was the best part of the discussion for me is to hear the Senate debate, them discussing, well, we don't think anybody will get arrested for this. Well, the easiest way to make sure nobody gets arrested for it, don't pass the law.
Right, exactly.
But what you don't do to people who are already, law enforcement's got a hard enough job. And then you're telling them, hey, we're passing this law, but wink, wink, don't enforce it.
That's got to be tough.
Yeah, what's going to happen to you?
I agree.
So,
I agree.
Man, we talking with North Carolina House Representative, Democratic leader Robert Reives. So this is not to say this is not a bill that says you can't force me to wear a mask. This is a bill to say
that you can't.
I can't wear a mask.
Exactly.
So,
right. Yes.
I mean, because I just think that a lot of people. Well, when you just kind of you're not paying attention, you're going through your daily life. You think it's a bill that's saying, "Oh, good, now they can't make us wear masks the way they did back in COVID."
That's not it.
This is the other way.
Yeah.
Oh no, and think about this. What this bill also does, if you take it to its logical conclusion, let's say that you got to go to the hospital.
Right.
You out here playing ball, mess up your leg.
Yeah.
A doctor can't tell somebody else in that hospital to wear a mask. So if some guy's getting treated in the emergency room right beside you, and he's got COVID or some infectious disease, got tuberculosis, which we've actually had one case be found in North Carolina.
I read about that.
And so if he won't wear a mask, the doctor can't make him wear a mask. Now you're sitting in there, with your messed up leg, like, can y'all move me? Wow. And it's just, it's insane.
That makes no sense.
Yeah, and that's what doctors are upset about. Doctors are just like, this interferes with my ability to help my clients and, my patients. And again, if you take it as a whole, we just passed the bill last year that said doctors can't tell people things to save their lives, which again affects black women more than anything else with reproductive health. I mean, doctors have to sit down and say, okay, can I advise, Pam, if she's in the middle of a difficult pregnancy, that she needs this type of treatment because otherwise this pregnancy might kill her? When can I do this and not get arrested? And again, we're in here telling doctors how they're going to treat their patients. And I can tell you right now, we got one doctor in that entire General Assembly, to my knowledge. Maybe we got 2. So I don't think those 2 doctors ought to be deciding how my doctor's going to treat me.
That's right.
Wow.
Man, I'm still just baffled. Just like you put it all together. People have to actually vote on this.
Yes.
You actually have to vote on and then we spend money to write it down and print it.
We do spend money.
And print it and send it out when it just makes no logic. To me, it just makes no logical sense when you just play it all the way out.
Yeah.
But on the surface, I'm just telling you, it just sounds tricky because the first time I read it, until Pam brought it to me again, I thought they were voting to say we can't make people wear a mask anymore. That's not it.
Doc, when I was hearing the debate, we weren't involved in the House, and so I was hearing the debate, and I did, and I'm telling you from good friends of mine in the Senate. Yeah. Now it's just like I think you misunderstood what's going on.
I think you got it wrong. I think you got it wrong.
It just took away your freedom. Put your mask on.
Like
yes.
It's so far fetched. You just
Yeah.
don't think that that's what's
But
really
the sad part is, man, is that you're going to get to an election cycle, and this is what we're constantly saying to voters, and people will have forgotten by then, except for the misinformation that they'll hear about this bill, because, you got to, because that's the other reality about politics is you got a couple of billionaires that are going to give those guys a bunch of money to make up some stories about what this bill is about. And then people will say, well, yeah, because what's going to happen is you're going to hear these mailers and you're going to think, well, that's got to be what it's about, because it can't be. Right. It can't be that they passed the bill saying that I can't wear a mask.
No, you got it wrong, bro. You didn't get it right. You got it wrong.
I'm telling you, man.
That's what's going down right there, man.
I'm telling you. So, yeah, it is. It's distressing. But, I mean, those are the kind of things you got to think about, because at some point in time, government can't be about attacking people, and it can't be about making you less safe than the day we walked in the office. Like, I don't want my legacy to be, it's like, man, before you walked in the office, I could get treatment for all these diseases.
Right.
By the time you got out of office, you know, we got people dying like this 1930.
Right.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
100%.
Wow, man. You know what, Representative Reives, it is a pleasure
Yeah, man.
to have you join us. We really do appreciate it. I think it's your first time being on the show.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
And,
won't be the last, by the way.
Won't be the last. That's
Right.
right. Reese said, well, you're a cap, so I'm sure it won't be. He's your family. But more, trust me, research about, he must sit out a back center and say, if you're a noob, I need you. He bring them all in.
No, clearly y'all haven't met Pam's mama. So Pam,
yeah.
I treat Pam like I do when Pam's mama. When Pam's mama says there's somewhere I need to be,
That's where you
I
need to
just
be.
go. So that transfers down to Pam. Pam just like, I'm gonna need you here. She says it a nice way. That she's a sweet lady. But I'm gonna need you here.
Hey, look, well, Brother Reese, I ain't seen that sweetness.
I'm with you on that one.
I ain't seen none of that. Man, look, it's a pleasure having you
thank you for the
join us.
Absolutely, man.
Hey,
I appreciate you guys doing the show on this. Seriously.
Yeah.
And thank you for your service.
Yeah.
Continue to be somewhat of a voice of reason down there.
As much as you can, because
Exactly.
man, it's interesting over there.
Because it just baffles my mind how we can treat people the way we treat them. But anyway,
Yes.
we really do appreciate you.
Yeah.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank
and,
you.
Anytime you need anything for us, feel free to call.
Same here, guys. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much. A-Town, what do you have for